In the most divisive of times, the great debates rage on. Who was the best Batman? Was the book truly better than the movie? Did Han shoot first? Nerds with Opinions will seek to answer life's greatest questions. Hello there, fellow nerds. You are listening to Nerds with Opinions, episode number 138. As always, I'm your host, Matt Holben. Today on the podcast, it is a Marks with Opinions episode, and I am joined by the Markout Club, specifically returning guests Tim Harper, Cynthia Borges, and Tony Williams, and we are reviewing Wrestlemania 40. We're talking match by match of maybe the greatest Wrestlemania of all time, here today on Nerds with Opinions. All right, I am back with the Mark Out Club. We're doing Marks with Opinions and we're reviewing WrestleMania 40, going around the Zoom squares. The longest hiatus, I think. Big Tim Harper.
I promised Logan I wouldn't bury him.
I will. Logan, you should have been here. And another long layoff, Cynthia Borges.
Hello. I don't know why I waved.
And my man T-Will in the his A, Tony Williams.
That's me.
All right. Let's do this darn thing. So I thought that maybe we could just start off, before we even review matches, I just want to just briefly ask everybody how they felt about the build for this Mania, because I do think that it was, I think a lot of people could agree it was a lot better than some of the ones in prior years. It was pretty cohesive. They were planning it pretty far ahead, it seems like. And then obviously it got a lot of like mainstream attention because of all the stuff with The Rock. So just general thoughts on the build up to the actual show.
I liked it. It like was very captivating, like more than normal, and like multiple matches and storylines.
Agreed. This might have been the craziest build up, the Cody Roman match that I've seen in a very long time. Just that whole story is just so beautiful. Good. Great storytelling.
Yeah, for someone like, I guess all of us who do not watch the weeklies, which I don't know if any of you do, but I
actually have been more this year.
Well, I have not, but being able to still follow everything, even on the little social medias, I think the only match that I was like kind of behind on was Sammy and Gunther's build.
That was one of the ones that was a little later, because they had that like they actually had like wasn't it like one of those 6-pack challenges or whatever? They had like a qualifying match. And they kind of kept teasing, like, is it going to be Sammy or is it going to be Chad Gable? So that was one that kind of came together a little later. But most of these, they clearly thought out pretty far ahead. And then the only ones that they kind of, filled in gaps, I think were clearly just to try to get more people on the show. Like I think the last ones that were kind of put together were those 6-person tags that they had each night with the women, and they had the men the following evening. But like the one with the Pride versus the Final Testament, like those groups have been feuding for a while. So it was just a matter of putting the match together. I agree with all of you. I think the build was great. And obviously I think the build for the whole story regarding Rock and Roman and Cody kind of eclipsed everything else. But there was even really good build, I think, with like Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. The only one that I think was undersold was Bayley and Io Sky, and I'll have more to say about that when that match comes up.
On that one, but also
100%.
But so let's dive right in. Let's review match by match, and then we'll talk about any sort of segments they had. They didn't have a ton of them. It was mainly match focused. So night one opened up with Rhea Ripley defeating Becky Lynch by pinfall to retain her Women's World Championship. Thoughts?
It was weird seeing Rhea with long hair.
Yeah, we can talk. Let's start with entrances. Yeah, let's talk entrances. I thought they were both awesome. In their own right, they're very, very different, but and obviously very personal in both. So let's talk entrances first, and ring gear, all that good stuff, because that's always a fun thing about WrestleMania.
It took me a second to realize what Becky's was, but as soon as I was like, "Oh, there's words," oh, it's her book. That's cool. And then Rhea's, I was really confused by the purple and red, but those are like two of my favorite colors. So I was like, whatever. But then later on the night, it made it very clear what it was. I was like, oh, it's ECW colors because they're in Philly. That tracks. That makes sense. No, I enjoyed the color schemes of just all of the ECW colors, because when she first came out, long hair threw me off very much because she had like not long hair a week ago and then obviously put extensions in. But the purple and red, I was like, those are two of my favorite colors, so kind of cool, whatever. But then later realized, oh, right, ECW, Philly, red and purple, got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously her being played into with, is it Motions in White?
Motionless in White.
Motionless.
Yeah.
I think that's her favorite band, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. That's what they said.
Which has to be fucking cool.
And I gotta say, sometimes, there's been, obviously it's not the first time they've had like an actual artist or band play somebody to the ring, but we've seen like mixed results of that, not only in WWE, but like in AEW, they've done it a lot. And there's been some real bad performances, probably due to like, sound issues or whatever. I think this is one of the better ones I've seen. Like, they were really on point, and it sounded like a lot like how the music's recorded. So yeah, good on Motionless in White. I agree. Her ring gear was super, super cool. Entrance was great. Like, her like singing with them was cool. Becky's, I liked that, the contrast of that it was like personal to her book. I thought that was really clever gear too, that all of her gear had pages from her book. So
that was one of my favorite parts.
And I mentioned it in the chat. It was really weird seeing Becky in traditional wrestling boots, because you don't really ever see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess she wears like kick pads, right?
Yeah, and like I guess she wears like a form of boot, but it looks more kind of like a shoe.
Not like the really long lace-up boots, yeah.
Just like a traditional wrestling boot, yeah. So that was kind of cool.
So let's get into this match. I thought it was a fantastic opener, which obviously is very, very important for any wrestling show. But WrestleMania in particular, like, you have to open with a banger, and I think that they did. Thoughts?
Oh yeah.
Like, it was a great way to start the night. Like, it was how do I want to word this? Oh man, should think before you speak. No, like, I was entertained the whole time. So, and like, as much as I wanted Becky to win, because like I just love Becky, I didn't hate that Rhea won. Like, she's fantastic. So there's no wrong person who won.
And while we're reviewing, just because I remember when we talked about WrestleMania last year, everybody loved everything, but there were some strong opinions on like the wrong person won. So if you feel like that with any of these, like, please let's talk about it and debate it. But yeah, let's keep it going. Any Tony, Tim, thoughts on this match?
Well, obviously I thought it was a banger. Like, you have those two of their caliber, like, you're not going to have a bad match. I thought it was a banger, and I thought the right person won. I think that her streak needs to keep going.
Yeah, I would like to see her also beat Bayley at Mania, and then if Sasha ever comes back, just to get that four horsewomen Mania victories,
that'd
which
be interesting.
Bianca is the only one who can potentially get that right now because she's beat Sasha and Charlotte. Did she beat Charlotte? I don't remember, but she's the only one who's beat Sasha in this new group of the next women stars to get that.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you that that this was the right call. I wouldn't have been mad at all if Becky Lynch won, but I do think that this is obviously not Rhea Ripley's first title run, but it's like her first really significant one. And having the belt on her for a bit longer than a year, I think is good because the longer, obviously now we've seen a really long title reign with Roman. We've seen other really long title reigns with the men. That's not as prevalent with the women, but they just kind of did a long one with Bianca. And then this is now turned into a long one with Rhea. And I think that builds stars because as much as sometimes you need to switch it up and you know, have some title changes to keep things interesting, when you're, you know, having a title just move from person to person to person, it starts to not mean anything, you know, if you're doing it too frequently. So I do think that when somebody beats her, it's going to be a really big deal, but it didn't need to be Becky because of how decorated she is. I think this was more just, oh, wow, it's wild that Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch has never happened on like a big stage, or I don't know, like maybe it hasn't happened at all on a pay-per-view. NXT, okay.
NXT.
Yeah, so like this had to happen, and I think it just kind of builds Rhea Ripley into even a bigger star, especially, which I don't know if y'all saw this. Becky Lynch is kind of the rumor is that she might like take a long period off or like retire early because she's getting to a point where when their kid gets a little older, she doesn't want to wrestle anymore and wants to just go full mom. Because like right now they're taking the kid on the road with them, but like when a kid gets into school and whatnot, so I kind of wonder if maybe this was like, okay, I probably have another title run somewhere down the line, but let's put over the next generation since Rhea is younger than her.
And as much as that would suck, her taking like a super long hiatus, I mean, she's pretty much done it all. She really has nothing else to prove if this were to be her last like go.
I agree.
She basically started a revolution.
I think the one thing she hasn't done is win Money in the Bank, which is just going to be a title at the end of it anyway. So,
yeah,
I would do if I was booking this title specifically just to give it a little bit more credit. I'd maybe put Rhea in that tweener category she's already in. She needs to start doing like open challenges and just make it big. Like do what Cena did when he won the US title.
Yeah, but heels don't do that.
That's what I'm saying. Put her in that tweener spot where she is.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I think she's pretty beat up right now, which actually that is one thing I was a little surprised with that she retained because like her wrist is totally fucked right now. Like shoot. But they must have been confident that like she can heal it. So I don't see her doing, because obviously every time there's somebody that's like a quote unquote workhorse champion like Seth was, they get so fucking beat up. And that's, I know everybody complains about, okay, well, like Roman Reigns, he barely retains the title. The reason that he could do 1,300 days as a champion is because he's not doing a title defense every week because that's just too hard on your body.
I was like to rewind to 2017 when we would bitch, moan, and complain about Brock Lesnar doing the same thing. However,
he was on less shows though, I think.
And not as popular.
Well, and then at least like Roman would come to some shows and cut promos, and like at that time with Brock, he wouldn't really. It would be like Paul cutting promos for sure.
And Brock really didn't have that like I'm God complex like Roman does. Like whenever Roman shows up on a show, he acts like he's like God. Like it's a privilege to see me. But you never really got that with Brock.
Yeah, with Brock, it was more like I'm here.
Applaud.
because I felt like
I
showing
agree.
up instead of I'm gracing you with my presence.
So Tony introduced this concept when we were doing these kind of shows, and so let's all give a out of 5-star rating for this match. We're gonna do that for every match, and then we'll do it for the whole entire show as a whole once we get to the end.
Going Meltzer on us.
Going Meltzer. I'm gonna give it a full 5 stars. I loved this match.
I am
I
going
would
to give him
probably.
Okay, 4.75. I'll go 4.75.
I would go. I'd go 4.5.
4.5. Okay.
I'm with the 4.5. I really liked
All right.
it and everything, but it's not, doesn't have that, I don't know. It's not a 5 for me.
Yeah, it was
Tony?
just like, yeah.
It was solid.
I'm probably going to go with 4. It was good, solid opener, entrances, everything. But I think I've talked to at least Matt about like what it takes for me to get a 5-star match, and this didn't quite flick that last little switch.
Oh God, you are like Meltzer.
It's like, well, first of all, this can't get a 5-star because it's WWE.
No, nothing like
and,
that.
and it doesn't have Will Ospreay or Kenny Omega in it.
Mm-hmm.
If Nakamura was in here, maybe because he's ex New Japan. Okay, so let's move on to the next match for a 6-pack tag team ladder match for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. I believe I just want to
The
quickly.
right team won.
I want to quickly shout out. I know it was either Tony or Tim. One of you guys introduced that idea of like, I bet you the titles are going to be separated by different people grabbing them. Oh, it's Tony. Okay, so you called that. So we had A-Town Down Under. They won the SmackDown titles. The Awesome Truth won the Raw titles, and they defeated the Judgment Day, DIY, the New Day, and New Catch Republic. This was
Horrible name.
a complete banger. I think we all expected it to be a complete banger, but it was also, it wasn't just a car crash, which I was kind of expecting. Like there was obviously some comedy spots because R-Truth, but then it was like a real good, like feel good moment too. And this was Tony called it, and this was a really good concept because it's a great way to split them up.
Yes, I don't know if I called it. I just said it'd be cool if they did that. I don't know if they announced that's what they were going to do, because
they kept saying in the buildup that the match isn't over until both sets of titles are taken down. So I think they intended on this all along.
Yeah, but that's what I mean is like, I don't know if I called it or if it was announced prior.
Alluded to.
Yeah, because I was expecting all 4 belts on one hook, and then like people are fighting over it. But it sounds like they might have announced it early. But again, I don't watch the weeklies, so
they did, and it was even like because they were talking about it in like the pre-show that like they kept saying, "Oh, it's not over until both sets of titles are taken down." So you kind of had a feeling, but all right. Anything standing out with like entrances, gear?
So
Definitely.
fun fact on the entrance, when Judgment Day came out, and Kirsty's like, "Who's that?" Because they're both wearing masks. I explained, Balor and Priest, and she's just like, "Is that Balor? Does he have less abs?"
Oh, geez.
What?
Yeah.
How dare she?
Right? And she was confusing Ricochet's abs with Finn Balor's abs, because we have a long running joke that Ricochet has like 87 abs, and
So I goofed on this when we watched this in Sun River, and our friend Matthew was there, and he was asking like, because he hasn't watched wrestling in 15 years. He's like, "Oh, who's this? Who's that?" I 100% just forgot Finn's name, and I went, "Oh, that's Damien and Phil," and just like so confidently. But Logan's like, "Phil?" I was like, "Yes, that is his name now." And then so Matthew knows Finn as Phil,
oof.
which I feel really
That's funny. I got a kick out of it was a little corny, but I got a kick out of the DIY DX.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
so
that was fun.
Homage.
that was great.
Thanks,
the
Archery,
new
for that one.
the New Day doing Rocky. I really loved that. The Judgment Day with the masks, and I gotta say, I didn't really notice it while I was watching it, but I saw a close-up shot on Instagram after the fact. That was like a Kane mask that was painted purple, and then he had horns off it. Did you notice that, Tim?
Actually, no, I didn't.
Bro, look up a photo of it. It's a Kane mask.
Was it Finn or
A Damien? It's 1000% a Kane mask with like shit on it, and then like it's got purple instead of red. I see both Tony and Tim are furiously typing.
Where?
But those are the entrances that kind of really stood out to me.
Oh shit, that's fucking cool.
Okay, you found it.
I don't know about. You know what? I think I might have been in the kitchen like fixing a snack or something during their entrance, so I didn't see it. Holy shit, that's cool though.
I got distracted by just like how there's just horns all over it, and I was like, oh, that's just rad all the way around. And then like Finn Balor's wearing like a serial killer bag over his head. And it was just cool. But then I saw a picture after the fact, and I'm like, oh my god, that's a Kane mask. And I was waiting to do this pod to like see if you noticed that. But okay, so let's talk about the match itself. There was insane spots in this, and then it was like a lot of excitement and intrigue because one team won the belts halfway through the match, and there was still, another, it looks like it was 17 minutes. There was probably another like 8 or 10 minutes left of the match, which was really interesting because then it's like, are these guys going to win the other titles? Is another team going to win them?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool that they let the Grayson Waller and oh my god, Austin Theory.
Yeah.
Wow, that was buffering. They let them stay in the match instead of just going, okay, you won, you can leave or whatever. They're just like, we're going to try and go for that one. And clearly it didn't work out. But I am pretty stoked that I have really no opinion on Austin Theory, but I love Grayson Waller. And I'm so glad he got a belt.
I love I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good, man. Go for it.
I was just going to say, I loved the stipulation in that regard because it was very unique in such a smart way to split the titles. I don't know how you could organically make something like this happen again. Mm-hmm. Unless you just kind of came in with like, okay, hey, all the belts are on the line. But I love a good ladder match at Mania. It's been a thing that they've done, not every Mania, but they've done it a lot. And that was just kind of fun. And, because you didn't know who was going to grab what titles. And that obviously then dictates the drafts coming up. Like now we know, this team's going to be on SmackDown. This team's going to be on Raw as champions. That's just kind of, it was very unique.
Agreed. And I don't know if it was just me, but did it seem like super short when A-Town Down Under got the SmackDown titles? Like, did it just seem like it happened in like a flash, and then all of a sudden they were going for the Raw ones now? Like,
that's what I was saying, dude. Like that happened like pretty early in the match, but I do think that was interesting because then it like dictated, a lot of how the match is going to go after the fact. Because then it's like I was saying, okay, are they going to get both belts or both sets of belts?
Yeah,
it was interesting.
If you're unaware, Vacation Tony always has a beer and this in his hand. So time was not real for me for a couple days.
When he's saying this, he has a vape pen that I don't think has tobacco in it.
I got that, yeah.
First off, shout out
One might say he was doubly intoxicated.
Yes, Bubba Ray. Not expected that. Loved it though. He was the
yeah.
Wait, what?
Bubba Ray
Tony's jumping a match.
Oh, I thought it was this match.
Oh yeah, you're way ahead, bud. That's night 2. Yeah, we're still talking about that ladder match.
I thought he was the ref in this ladder match. Okay, never mind.
No. We'll get there. There.
Like I said, time did not exist for me for a couple of days. Anyway,
clearly.
No,
I would love to shout out the hot tag moment of this match.
That's what I was
Yes.
The freaking best. Oh my god, so funny. And then the fact that like the Miz just went for it and like
Yep.
huge pop, so good.
And
Our
then he
truth
took-
is a
and I'm-
treasure.
I
He
love
is
the
a
I
national
love the
treasure.
Miz's overly like exaggerated like
Yes.
jump and like
He
land on
like
his
dove into it.
land on his
Narrative
knees tag.
hot tag, yeah.
Honestly, he's like the perfect person to play opposite for R-Truth in a tag team. Like, let's be real. Like, because he can like pull it back, but he can also match the over the top. So, like,
Well, and then he often has like the kind of straight man to the silly man thing, but like
Mhm.
you're right, he can be over the top. Yeah, I liked them when they were together quite a few years back. So I'm glad to see them back together. But okay, so let's talk about the I guess finishes to this match since there was kind of two of them. I think we can all agree that we loved Awesome Truth winning the Raw titles. That was such a
fucking
feel good
yeah.
moment. Like the crowd loved it. I loved that it was Truth that got the belts. Just because I think he's always been appreciated by fans, but you know, I don't know outside of getting the NWA title in TNA, I don't think he'll ever be a world heavyweight champion in WWE, which is a bummer. But so I think everybody, you know, was really stoked that he got another title just of any sort. But how about A-Town Down Under? Do we like them as the champions? Cynthia already kind of said her thought about Waller getting a title.
I love him. He
They're
endeared
obviously-
himself to me since last WrestleMania. He like just I've enjoyed him.
They're obviously the most green and young team, so I think that's probably what the call was, is like put it on these kids and build them up. Thoughts on that, Tim?
Plus they're on
Oh.
rocky ground, so it'll keep it interesting with the tag titles in the picture as well.
Yeah, I honestly I didn't see that coming. But you know,
I thought it was going to be DIY and Awesome Truth.
yeah. But I'm gonna give it a shot just because, you know, Grayson Waller does such a good job at making me hate him. So
Oh, he's so great. I love it.
he's so good at doing that, and so is Austin Theory's getting a little better at that too. So I don't know. It'll be kind of
Well, and
cool
I think
to see what they can.
They're a good pairing in terms of like they're both slimy heels, but Waller's clearly the stronger on the mic and Austin's clearly stronger in ring. And so I think that they complement each other's strengths and weaknesses really well as a tag team. And so, yeah, I think it was a good call because I mean, even though DIY hasn't had a main roster title run, obviously they've had a bunch in NXT. So it was fun to pull the trigger on a young team and see how they can do. Okay, let's rate this match 5 stars out of 5 stars.
I'm
gonna go 4.75 again on this one.
Ooh, going high again. Yeah, for me, this one was good, but I don't know if I want to go that high, so I'm just going to stick with a 4.
Okay,
Stop copying me, Tim.
I got another 4.
Yeah, because like as stoked as I freaking was for R-Truth to grab those titles, like it still wasn't a 5, but it was
That's fair.
it was happy. Like it was great. He
that's
deserved
fair.
it.
T-Will?
I'm sorry, Tim's dog just like sauntering into the background.
You're so cute.
I'm
Star
gonna
of the show.
say 4.25 for all of the reasons everyone said, but also the lovely ladder spot that Waller took
Okay.
because he took it very gracefully.
Okay. Let's move to the next match. Rey Mysterio and Andrade with the LWO defeated Santos Escobar and Dirty Dom with I can't remember Santos Escobar's group. Anyways,
Legado del Fantasma.
Oh, they're still called that?
I think so, yeah.
I guess they just always keep the name, even though he's had like 14 different members in it. Okay.
Right.
Thoughts on entrances, gear, anything like that before we get into the actual match? I have to say, I'll call out my own goof. Ray comes out and I'm like, is he referencing Vulture from Spider-Man? And then, but before anybody can even say that, I'm like, okay, never mind. He's the Philadelphia Eagle. Forget that I said that. I just saw green and wings, and I'm like, that clearly shows my priorities of like, I know comic books, I like football.
Well, it's not fair to throw you off. It's not fair to throw you off like that, considering he's come out as a Marvel or DC character every WrestleMania.
Yes, that's where my head went, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, like doing a villain, but that's interesting as well. But yeah, clearly it was obviously the Philadelphia Eagle. And
I didn't catch it either.
Dirty Dom's outfit was, as per usual, absolutely like over the top and ridiculous. So he was a standout. Let's talk about this match. It did not go the way I thought it was gonna go.
Yeah, I really thought Dom was gonna get the win.
Okay, so remember we said, hey, speak up if you think that the wrong person won. I think the wrong person won in this. I think that Dom should have pinned his dad. I don't think that Ray and Andrade needed the win. Might not be a popular opinion to some people listening to this, but
the double cross body though, that was fucking cool. There was some insane
awesome
spots in this. When they yeeted Joaquin with the ropes, incredible. It was just, I think the finish wasn't the right finish.
I feel like they went for more of a feel good like ending to the match, because like you've got Ray in the like Eagles thing, and then you've got Taylor Swift's boyfriend's brother and his friend
Jason Kelsey. Yeah, so that was fun. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that they must have went for okay, we need to have some celebrity involvement in here. Let's get a couple of the Philadelphia Eagles to help the babyface.
We need a celebrity.
Did they actually need that? Like, I think it would have been better storytelling.
Who else is gonna go ahead? Sorry.
I still think there was a missed opportunity with how much they've been teasing Carlito not liking that Ray's picked every single wrestler in the LWO other than Carlito, and I think like they've clearly been teasing it, and so it was weird that they didn't pull the trigger on the biggest stage. And I don't think Ray needed
for a heel turn.
Yeah, and I don't think Ray needed to go over on his son 2 WrestleManias in a row. But I agree. It was a fun spot, especially seeing like 2 giant white football players wear Rey Mysterio masks. That was a good time.
And like Tony though, I hardly like keep up watching like Raw and SmackDown like when it's on. I typically just kind of see like through social media and stuff, and it kind of threw me off how Dom just got like thrown in like with Santos, and just like how like he was even a part of that match. It's just really weird. It's kind of like, to me, like Dominic can't like stray away from doing these like big matches with his dad.
Yeah. Which
kind of weird.
Didn't someone get hurt and that's why Dom got thrown in there?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I could be completely
so
wrong.
To me, this screamed like, oh, we need to. Dominic's such an important fixture on the television programming right now. We got to have him involved. We got to do something with Santos. We got to do something with Ray. We got to. This seemed like, okay, one of those. Let's put them together. I just think that long-term storytelling, they could have used this pairing in a better fashion. But it was a great match for what it was. Let's rate this sucker. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 3.75, and that's mostly because of the finish. Otherwise, I think this would have been like a 4.25 for me.
Same. I had 3.75 just because of the finish alone.
I got 3.5.
I have it at a solid 3 because out of all the matches, this
Ooh.
one kind of held my interest the least.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that's gonna lead me into the next one, because that was the match that I struggled with. That Jey Uso defeated Jimmy Uso by pinfall in a brother versus brothers single match. Before we even get into this, I want to just note that the last match was 11 minutes and 5 seconds. This match we're going to talk about right now, also 11 minutes and 5 seconds. And I wonder if that, well, so I'll just come right out and say it. This is my least favorite match of the entire weekend.
It was a stinker.
It was disappointing. But when I saw that was 11 minutes and 5 seconds, it blew my mind, because it felt like it was like 30 minutes. And it was so slow paced. Cynthia, you look like you're dying to say something.
Oh my God. So the video package at the beginning that just builds up the story in case you didn't know why they were. Oh my God. It was
the Brothers amazing. Keeper thing. Yeah, yes. It was epic for sure.
I just loved it so much.
It was really good. Yeah. Video packages for this whole card were really great. Better than they've been in years.
Yeah, no, it was how they had them both talking and then telling the same story, and then they diverged and but oh my, it was so good. But yeah, I don't fully remember the match, but I remember that.
It just felt like they just didn't get out of the starting blocks. It was just kind of real slow paced, and it also, and I guess this makes sense, the fact that it is 11 minutes, because I do remember I was like, man, this is really it feels very slow. And then it just kind of, it finished. And so I think maybe that was what it was. It was just it ended real quick, but then it just didn't feel like it really built into
the rise and fall.
What a brother versus brother blood feud should be. I don't know. It was.
It is no Cody versus Dustin.
You just go back to all of the two other brother WrestleMania matches, like Owen and Brett, fucking phenomenal.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
Jeff versus Matt, awesome. How you have it was the one right where Matt was like on the table and he's like, no, I'm sorry, or what? That was wasn't it?
That was Backlash, but
okay.
Feel with the Hardys, this should have been a tribal combat match. Like this
should something with hardcore stipulations.
Should have been something with because brother blood feuds, get a weapon. I think that would have helped it immensely.
Just with how hot Jay is. With how hot Jay is, and just everything going on. It was just a very underwhelming match. They could, like Tony said, they could have done something cool and gimmicky like that, and it would have been so much better. There was really no big spot or nothing. It was just boring.
I agree.
The biggest spot was Jimmy being all like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, you're my brother," and Jay believing him, but it was so it wasn't a big spot about it. I don't know if that makes sense. It was there, but it wasn't as, I don't feel, dramatic and impactful as if you did have weapons and more of a blood feud thing going on.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because what I think it was missing and why it kind of just felt a little flat was for how much, the video package that you're talking about and how much they built this up. It didn't feel like it had that emotional crescendo and then okay, where, you referenced Cody and Dustin Rhodes, which is maybe I there could be an argument between that and
hard
Brett and Owen. Yeah. But in terms of brother versus brother matches, but
Two different
I
generations.
think the thing where all those had that this one didn't was that like emotional quality of either somebody taking it too far, like Owen and Brett, or not wanting to pull the trigger because they love their brother, kind of like Cody and Dustin, where you have that emotional quality. This just didn't feel like it had that.
This felt like they were just like, hey, do you want to have a match? Like, yeah, sure. But like, if you just think about it, everything that Jimmy's done since turning, he's cost him the world title. He's cost him the IC title. He's multiple times. Like, how is this not, I'm going to get a chair and beat the shit out of you and either get disqualified and not care, or
Well, like, I think they were off to a good start when before the match started, Jay freaking attacked Jimmy out of the ring and like built like, okay, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be like, no, it's going to be relentless. And then it just kind of was a match.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It just didn't feel like it.
No.
It felt like the first part of what should have been maybe like a 20-minute match where you're doing that slow sort of kind of Roman Reigns-esque, like all of his match they start so slow, but it just never really got to that like, okay, here we go, false finishes. It's really picking up, especially with two guys this athletic. It was kind of like, oh, okay, and now it's over. Anyways, I'm not trying to bury it as much as it sounds like I'm burying
like,
it.
It was good.
Bury away, brother.
But
Bury
it could have
away.
been better.
Let's go ahead and rate it. Since I initiated that this was my least favorite match, I'll just go ahead and come out and say it. I'm gonna do a 2.75, which pains me, but I think that's what it has to be. I hope that maybe they do a rematch that I agree with Tony. Like put a really intense stipulation on it, and it might really bring out some aggression.
This also goes back. I'm gonna give it also 2.75, but I booked Jay to win the IC title, and that would have been another thing you could have done here is an IC title match. That would have been. I just think it would have added and made it that much better.
You guys are more generous than I am. I gave it a 2.
Hey,
It
was
just
brutal.
It did not like interest me at all, and I was very, very disappointed because they could have done something so special, and it was a stinker.
That's fair.
So I just skewed a little different than what you guys said, and a lot of it has to do with the video package.
That's fair.
I'm at a 3.25.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean,
the video package saved them.
So good.
Yeah, I agree. That was one of the best ones for sure. Okay, let's talk about the 6-woman tag match. Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi defeated Damage Control by pinfall.
There's a 6-woman tag match.
I mean, another one of like amazing entrances and ring gear. I liked that they had Jade, Bianca, and Naomi all do their entrances together and have those like coincide. That was super cool. It had that feel of like this is a real team, even though it's a one-night deal, rather than just a completely thrown together thing, which this kind of was, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
And then Damage Control, like the face paint, like
Dude.
the crazy hair. It was awesome.
So, I really love. Okay, so I absolutely adore Asuka, and so
the best.
Her face paint is always freaking dope as shit. And you've got Kyrie with the face paint going as well, and then I didn't mean to say this out loud, but you got Dakota Kai, and when I first caught the glimpse of her just standing there a little disheveled and like whatever, I thought zombie hooker. Because like she didn't look terrible or anything. It just like, I don't know what it is about that moment where like, I don't know if it was like a terrible, not the best angle, but I was just like, that's kind of the vibes you're giving me there. But like, with like otherwise performing and stuff, her gear was pretty cool. But and then yeah, I thought it was cool how like with oh my God, why am I blanking on names tonight so badly? Jade, Bianca, and Naomi, like them coming in together was like I was not expecting them to be there at once, and it like cuts like shortens their songs or whatever to like be a sort of group versus
Yeah.
oh, one comes out, here's my entire entrance music, here's another one, and here's another one. It felt more cohesive.
Yeah, they when Matthew came into the room and this match was on, and he's like, "What the fuck is that?" And he was pointing at Asuka. I was like, "Oh, that's a Japanese wrestler. She's really good. She's really cool." And he's like, "I'm sorry, but if you put me on a card and it was told I have to go fight that, I would just nope. No, thank you."
she does look scary for sure.
Yes. This was a very good match. I enjoyed it. I think
it was.
Jade was protected in a way to not show how still kind of green she is, and she's going to be great. She's already improved vastly since coming over from AEW.
She's a star.
I don't know
Just
if
that
I
performance
would,
center training.
I don't know if I would continue with the 3 group unless they pull like a New Day thing where it's like, hey, we're a group, but we can still fuck off and do our own things.
I don't expect them to. I think this was a one-off thing to get all these women on a match. And then I think it was like a fun like one-off supergroup thing. And in that regard, I think it worked. I agree. I love this match as well. My only beef, and I don't know if there was any other way around this, it was just so obvious who was going to win. Which I don't think was necessarily the wrong move because they're, Bianca now they've got like a WrestleMania streak thing going with her. Naomi's freshly back, so they want to push her. Jade is a new star. They want to push her. It's a little bit of a bummer that it came at the sacrifice of Damage Control, and I think they're doing great work. And it was just, okay, they're putting like the strongest, baddest women in the WWE in one group. Like, of course they're going to beat Damage Control. It was a little obvious, but outside of that, I thought it was a banger little match. 8 minutes and 5 seconds, it looks like.
I will say one thing. It was a very fun match.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it was about night 1, but the crowd really sucked. And the hot tag for Jade was just so underwhelming. I felt so bad for her. I don't know if I was the only one that caught that.
I don't
know. I don't know. I felt like the crowds were good both nights, but
I felt like the crowd did start like chanting like we want Jade or whatever, but it didn't feel like the full crowd was behind it,
I don't know if they could have been going ape shit for all I know. Maybe it was just like the audio team or like
that's fair.
I don't know, but to me it just seemed like night 1, especially like a lot of like the pops like just weren't like as loud as you would expect them. And I was reading about it, and people were saying like the Philly crowd was just awful. So I don't know, but night 2 it was a lot better. Like they popped for almost every match that was on the card in night 2. So I don't know what it was about night 1.
Wasn't it? Yeah, because I don't really remember. I remember making a comment about the crowd, but it seemed like, as weird as this sounds, the appropriate time for them to kind of die down. Like I think Logan made a comment. I was like, well, this is the middle of the card, and Philly is known to kind of go crazy with sporting events. So maybe everyone's just like coming down hard. That's the only thing I can think of.
I do think that there was a little bit of a lull before this match in particular, because you had the Rey, Andrade, Santos, and Dominic match, and then the Jay and Jimmy match back to back. It's in the middle of the card. The first 2 matches were pretty long, so that might have been it.
I don't know. I had a good time.
Let's rate this sucker. I'm gonna go.
I see that, Tim.
4.5, baby. 4.5.
I don't know what she's doing. She's going crazy back there. She's doing a spin-a-rooney.
I will
4.
give it
Give it a 4 flat. 4 flat.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I added it as a 4. I added it a 4 too.
I think I have the sour, what you mentioned earlier that I forgot to chime in on, is the tiny petites versus the muscle buster team. Like, obvious who's gonna win.
Yeah.
Well, you can't say obvious, because if that was true, then every match Rey Mysterio is in, he'd lose.
That's fair, but
so for me it was obvious just because of it was obvious because of who they've been pushing really hard. It wasn't necessary. I mean, there was a visual like component of it too, but yeah, that's kind of where I was coming from in terms of it being
more heel tech.
Obvious. But
yes.
Okay, let's talk about Sami Zayn defeated Gunther by pinfall to win the Intercontinental title and end Gunther's 666-day reign, record-breaking reign. Man, I can't say enough good about this match, but I'll kick it to one of you.
So the match was a banger. I loved the whole Rocky, Ivan Drago feel to it.
Yeah.
The only thing I wish it would have been a lot longer of a build. It seemed like it was like, what was it? It was only like a 2 or 3 week build.
It was short, and we were talking about it at the top of the show. I think it's because they were, I don't know if in like behind the scenes, if they were like, okay, do we go with Chad? Do we go with Sammy? Or if they were just having that be part of the storyline of like, who's it going to be? But I agree with what you're saying in terms of it shortened it by doing that and not just having like a month and a half out. Oh, it's Sami Zayn for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, don't get me wrong, I love Sami Zayn and I'm really happy that he won. And but I felt like if someone was going to end Gunther's like insane reign, I felt like there should have been way more of a story to it and more build.
Fair. But at the same time, like you said, super stoked that Sammy won, and like
exactly
like the little lead up before the match where he's talking to his wife and his kid, and it's just like my heartstrings were just yank those.
Oh, and then Kevin Owens is like sees him right at gorilla position. Oh,
yeah.
So I would give a counter argument to what you're saying, Tim. I totally see what you're saying, but I think that Sami Zayn being involved, that story is built into just him being in the match because of just his character's always been an underdog. Yeah. And then every time he's gotten, in terms of singles career, every time he's gotten like really close to that like huge big moment, it doesn't quite happen, you know. So the short build actually worked for me. But I totally see where you're coming from. But as soon as it was like announced, I was fully invested. Tony, got thoughts on this?
More or less the same. Just I think I was more on the Gable train or the Jey Uso train, or honestly, almost not literally anyone else, but like one of those others that they've been building up, and it's like, hey, this makes sense to go here. Like I fantasy booked months ago that Jay would win the IC title, which would let Gunther win the Rumble, which would let him go after Seth, because I feel like that is the organic thing. When Sammy told his wife not to let his son watch this, I was like, oh no. Because, you know,
it's about to get crazy.
Yeah. But all in all, I'm also just going to jump to my rates just to get it out. All in all, like good 4.5. Like if the build was longer and they could have let Sammy told the stories that he is very good at telling, I think this would have been a 5, because I'm all for the underdog story. I'm all for the big meat hitting the big meat. So
yeah,
so for me, honestly, like, lack of a long build aside, once this was announced and then like that entrance with, him and his family, then him and Kevin, I was 1000% invested, and I got completely caught up in the emotion of it. And
Same.
dude, but once that finish like happened and then he won the belt, dude, I totally got choked up. It was such a cool moment. And like the emotion that his wife had when she was at ringside. I just think that I totally agree with what you're saying, Tony, and I think that that's coming. They've already on Raw. They already like set up that Gable's getting a shot and whatnot, and so I think that's coming. Because I don't think they're gonna do another like nearly 3-year reign with Sammy. I think it'll be a shorter run, which is fine. If anything, I think that adds to his underdog thing.
Yeah.
I see a lot of the next couple years of title reigns, obviously depending on how over they are and everything. With Triple H in charge, I feel like they're going to be like minimum 6 to 9 months, if not longer. Like that seems like that old Attitude Era. Like if you're popular enough, we're going to keep the title on you until it like makes sense to, instead of just being like Vince being like, I want Matt to win the no, Tim. No, Cynthia, you win the title.
Fuck
I
yeah.
honestly think that's why he created the 24/7 title, where it was just like,
and then he gave it
we're gonna have Pat Patterson be the champion, and then Medusa, and then I don't know, some other random person.
And that's what's so special about this new era in wrestling, or in WWE especially. I mean, like, yeah, Vince has had his output the last couple of years and stuff, but in reality, Triple H has been running creative and all that stuff pretty much for years now, and
but not completely independent. And so now we're in a different phase.
But like, it's pretty cool though that like these champions like Gunther, Rhea Ripley, Roman Reigns, they've had their titles for like running over a year. Like Gunther, like 2 years basically. Rhea's up like in a year now.
Yep.
And then Roman Reigns like 10 million thousand days. Like so it's
most
like
of my life.
I think it's super cool. I think you were just talking about it, Matt, how it's like, or Tony too, how having the champions be champion for that 6 to 9 month range, it just works, instead of you're going to hold the title for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you're going to drop it like at a random like live show or like on Raw or.
Yeah.
If Black and Gold NXT is anything to show, which we're all pretty big fans of it, that's all Triple H, and now we're here. So I think
he gets
we're
it for
be
sure.
fine.
Yeah.
So Tony gave this a rating. I'm gonna give it a full 5. I loved this match. I was fully invested in it. It moved me. I'm ready for. I agree with Tony. I'm ready for some new blood in that mid card spot. But I think it'll put over that guy. Be like, okay, Gable or Jey Uso or whoever that hasn't had a singles run. Like, oh, they beat Sami Zayn, huge star, and the guy that beat Gunther. And it was also necessary because like Gunther, I think, is like, he needs to be mixed up now in the world title spot.
Champion, like Jesus Christ.
So I'm gonna go full 5 stars though. Cynthia, Timmy?
For me, it would have been a 5, but the lack of build, for me, it was a 4.5.
You savages. Okay.
Hey, telling a good story is important. If they were just
that's totally fine.
And then your brother kills you. It's like, okay, how? Why? What happened? How did we get from high flow to that?
It can work on the opposite. I mean, that's what Cynthia was saying. You know, like she liked the build and the video package for the Usos, so that worked. So Cynthia, what do you think about this out of 5 stars?
I'm gonna be twinsies with Tim again. It's a 4.5 for me. Like I freaking enjoyed it so much.
I think you're triplets. Didn't Tony, you said 4.5 as well, right? Yeah,
Oh,
triplets.
well, I've been solidly like
I'm
twinning
the
with
outlier.
Tim this entire time except for a couple.
Okay, let's talk about the main event.
Matt's just a big softie for emotional storylines.
Oh,
Dude,
100%, brother.
are you kidding me?
100%.
My mom was texting me during the freaking the main event, and she was just like, she's like, "Are you even my daughter?" Because I was supporting Cody because like I'm like his story is just so good and so emotional. And she's like, "He's a whiny little crybaby." I'm like, "Mom, you don't understand."
I am too, and that's why I like him.
I was like, he puts so much emotion into his storytelling, and it just hooks you. So
Well,
good.
let's
bet
use
your
that
mom
as
liked The
a
Rock
let's use that as a
back in the day,
segue. In the main event for night one, the Bloodline, Rock and Roman Reigns, with Paul Heyman defeated Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins by pinfall, and that made night two Bloodline rules. I mean, entrances, geez Louise, dude. Let's talk about the Rock's outfit. It was like 90s Rock, like Versace outfit, like paired with like John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever bell bottoms. I fucking loved it. It was absurd. It's fucking absurd. So good. Yeah, and actually what's funny is like Roman Reigns, his WrestleMania entrances, even as like the tribal chief, they're pretty like low key. He doesn't do anything really flashy, other than they had, they had the orchestra and they did the piano thing last year, which I love both of those. But he doesn't do fancy gear, but I don't think he needs to.
No, I think his presence, like how he's held himself in this run as a monster heel, like everything else can be low key because he just draws you in as this absolute.
Dude, and his music. I don't know if it's just me, but his music always gives me chills. Like,
oh, it's fire.
Just
When they
goosebumps every time his music starts and he's just like comes out. I'm just like, it's fire.
Epic. When they finally changed it from the Shield music, it was such a good move because that didn't. Tony was saying that for years because he had that solo for so long, and it was like, this isn't working for this guy. But I think they needed to get him to a certain character in a certain place for that character to really have the music he has now fit him, because it's so epic that I don't think it would have fit like Big Dog version of Roman. It had to be Tribal Chief.
For his ring gear is almost Stone Cold status, where it's like doesn't need to be anything, like nothing special. He's like, yeah, I'm just wearing pants, boots, and a glove.
Yeah, the only fancy thing about him is he has like the one color gauntlet, but he does. I don't know if y'all saw this. He got Jordan Company sent him custom Roman Reigns branded Jordans in the ring. So like, you know, if Jordan's making you custom wrestling boots, like even though it's like you said, it's not super flashy. That's a flex. That's a flex. Let's talk about this match. There's a lot to talk about. Longest match of the entire weekend, nearly 45 minutes, lots of storytelling. I just want to lead it off with, holy shit, The Rock. That guy has not lost a fucking step.
No.
Obviously they chose their spots well, and with the tag match, he didn't have to work the whole 45 minutes. But it wasn't like he was taking a night off. He was bumping. He was running around, beating the shit out of people all through the arena. It was masterful. And
took his own finisher through an announce table too.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like the guy, he does not have to be doing any of this.
Guy's a billionaire, basically.
Yeah, and so biggest star in the world, like he doesn't need to be doing any of this stuff. So shout out to The Rock. I think he brought a lot to this match in terms of the heel energy, but they did a really good job at like, because I don't know about all of you. The one thing that I was a little concerned with this build up, it was such good storytelling, but once he turned heel and turned into the final boss character, there were some moments that he kind of overshadowed Roman. I'm gonna be honest, kind of overshadowed him, but I'm glad to see that like how the matches played out, and especially what happened in night 2. We'll get to that. It seemed like he knew when to pull back and let Roman have the spotlight and have his flowers. And so it wasn't like, oh, this guy's ego is fucking out of control. And now he's like, no. I'm taking the spotlight from everybody. So I was happy about that.
What championship was he gifted that he's now just like, no, I'm this champion?
The People's Championship. From Muhammad Ali's widow. Which I honestly, I like an egomaniac like heel. I fucking love it. Of course, that's a classic move where I'm like, where you just give yourself a title.
it works it works with his heel persona. But I was, do you guys listen to Busted Open?
I hear clips, but I've never really listened to the whole thing.
I was listening to the Busted Open where Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca were talking about that. People's Championship, and Bully Ray made a good point saying that it's kind of stupid that he carries it around because he almost makes it like it's overshadowing Roman's Universal Championship.
Okay,
but that plays into the dickhead Rock final boss heel character. Like he went full heel, and it's just like he didn't just go little heel. He like skyrocket heel. Like that was like his thing.
Oh, that's the most dastardly heel version of his character I think there's ever been.
It's like the $1 Million Championship. Like
exactly. Yes.
It's like basically, yeah. I don't know what I was gonna say, but
no, you nailed it. Yeah, where it's just there for looks and for somebody to brag about. Like that's not a real title. Yeah.
It's a good looking title.
It is awesome looking for sure.
It's awesome. Yeah.
So I love this match. Such great storytelling, really good pacing. It was interesting, but all this main event stuff with this group of guys, I wasn't 100% sure how anything would go, just because remember last year we all thought Cody was going to win. So it's like, I think that's going to happen, but I mean, they might not do that. So even with this match, I thought that this was going to be the finish to stack the deck for night 2, but there were so many false finishes that by the end of it, I didn't know what was going to happen. Like once Rock went through the table, I was like, okay, well, I guess Cody and Seth are going to win. And like Seth fulfilled his duties, which clearly we didn't see the full scope of his fulfilling his duties until night 2. We'll talk about that. I loved it. It was such a good match. The false finishes were ridiculous. The Rock like screaming at Cody Rhodes' mom, and then she just starts cussing at him. It's fucking awesome. Yeah. Beautiful. It was exactly I was exactly what I wanted out of this match, and super entertaining.
I will agree.
Agreed.
It was freaking fantastic.
So do you all think, not now, like trying to ignore the hindsight of what happened in night 2, but as you're watching at this point, when then it was, okay, Bloodline 1, it's going to be Bloodline rules. Did that feel like the right finish at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was I sad that they didn't accomplish winning on the first night? Yes. Was I surprised? No. Because if they lost, the odds and the payoff of Cody winning, if at this point he won on the second night, would be so much bigger if the odds are stacked against him like they were than if he'd won the first. Him and Seth won the first night and then he won the second night.
Exactly.
I knew they got it right when Rock and Roman are going up the ramp, and then they did that identical shot from last year at Mania of Cody sitting there just looking just despondent. Like, dude, that's like such good visual storytelling. Like somebody, you know, I don't know if it's Triple H or whoever's directing the show to be like, frame up that exact shot. And, you know, I'm guessing with Cody's, like, he's literally sitting the same way. He's got the same look on his face. They must have worked that out ahead of time, but still just such a good callback, you know? Yeah. Let's rate this because we still have night 2 to talk about. A full 5 stars for me.
4.75.
I'm going 5.
4.5.
What? Okay, that's fair. That's
You're
may I ask what why a 4.5 and a 4.75?
You can, but I probably
because
don't
my
have an answer.
5-star match is on night 2 because I freaked the fuck out.
You can have more than one 5-star match.
But I didn't get the same feeling.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
I'm all about, like, it's like when I review anything, like, it's how it makes me feel. Like the reason why I keep bringing up the Cody versus Dustin match is because I've rewatched that so many times. It is one of my absolute favorites. Like, I have sobered up watching that match when I've gone out drinking, and like just sat there and watched wrestling in the parking lot.
I totally understand with that match. That's like probably top 5 favorite matches of all time for me. So
same.
I totally get it. Let's talk about night 2. In the opening match, Drew McIntyre defeated Seth freaking Rollins by pinfall to win the World Heavyweight title. Before we even talk about what happened afterwards, let's just talk about just this match isolated. But before, you know, as it was, entrances, the Highlander bagpiper entrance for Drew, amazing.
Little sprinkle on top of that even. Did you see the post I sent to y'all about his ring gear going missing and someone
legitimately getting lost? Yeah,
and someone had to stay up all night like making him brand new stuff. So these were lovely entrances. I agree. I love Drew.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was Roddy Piper's music in the beginning, wasn't it?
Well, that's a traditional like Scottish song,
okay.
but yes.
I get it. It's like how like Ric Flair's music is like the Okay, I get it.
But technically same piece of music for sure.
It was awesome.
So this match was only 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Clearly they needed to leave some time for what was going to happen after, and clearly they wanted to go short because of Seth's involvement in the main event later. I also have a theory, and it's pretty much confirmed by the fact that they've pretty much like wrote him off TV for at least a month, it sounds like. Dude's beat the fuck up. And so I think after the match the night before, they were like, we need to have a short match. It's going to be a quick little banger, because then this guy has to come out and just get fucking wrecked again in the main event. Yeah. But for how short it was, this really worked for me.
Fucking good. It was so good.
Really good. Yeah. Because it was one of those, sometimes not having like a kind of slow build, sometimes it works. And I think it works when you come out and you just start throwing your best stuff at each other right off the bat, and they basically just finish until someone can't kick out.
I think that's what
it reminded me of, like a Brock match in that regard.
I think what like this is I'll rate it later, but this is that type of match where it's just like, okay, cool, that's world title match. They'll do the announcement. Oh no, he's been kicked in the face already. Like it's just immediately. I was like, wait, what's happening? Are they going to do a squash match? It's like, oh, that was really close.
I had that fear, and I was ready to get so mad.
No, this was a phenomenal match. I loved every part of this match.
Didn't Seth kick out of 4 Claymore kicks?
And
that the number? That's fucking insane.
I think it was only 3. and a future shock.
only 3.
One less than 4.
He got the shit beat out of him. But then Drew kicked out of
Like
a pedigree, a stomp. Yeah.
He hit something off the top rope, didn't he? Hit a super stomp, or he went to hit it?
What's that?
I swear Seth went for a super stomp of some kind, and I think that's what ended the match, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Because he missed, and then he like knee buckled and then got kicked in the fucking face.
Oh yeah, that knee is if he was just selling, he's doing a great job, because he seemed like he was legitimately super fucked up.
Yeah, at the end of
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kept turning to Logan. I was like when someone was celebrating and Seth was like in the background, I was like, he's like leaning against the ropes, like barely can stand. I'm like, dude, are you okay? Like, do you need to go?
Can we also talk about the fact that like a good minute or minute and a half of this match was spent with Drew getting his phone from his wife and live tweeting in the middle of the match.
Bored at work.
Well, and like it honestly, 6 months ago, that would have never worked for this character. But this like post hurting CM Punk, his like social media presence has it's the best heel Drew has ever been.
Oh,
it's so good.
Super fantastic. I absolutely adore who he is right now.
Well, so Drew wins, which I think at least in my opinion was the right call, especially with how beat up Seth is. But then he starts, jaw-jacking with CM Punk and turns his back on him after doing a suck it right in the dude's face. And
I love that.
CM Punk drops him and beats him up. Damian Priest comes out, cashes in on him. Thoughts on the little mini match after the match and Drew dropping the title to Damian Priest?
Unpopular opinion. I think that I was cool with Priest cashing in. I felt like it should have been a failed attempt, and Drew should have gotten a really lengthy title run, especially going into Clash at the Castle.
I
can't agree with you. I think they did it the right way. I think he got his win in front of a crowd. The CM Punk rivalry doesn't have to have anything to do with the title, and I think it's better to put it on a guy that's never had a title reign. And because here's the thing, if Drew holds onto the title and runs it into Clash of the Castle, unless they were going to have Damian cash in on him there, the guy would nearly be out of time to do the cash in. And
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. And as much as it could be fun to see Drew and Punk headline Clash of the Castle for the title, it doesn't need the title. And
yeah, you're right.
I don't really think CM Punk needs to be a champion anytime soon, or
no.
I don't know. Like it. Frankly, when he became the champion in AEW, I was kind of like, oh yeah, that's cool, but like, I don't know. He doesn't really need to be a champion. I think it was more.
And then he got hurt, so he wasn't.
That's Tony Khan's whole mentality, though. Is like you sign like a huge ex-WWE guy or a huge guy or a huge girl, and they're automatically in the title picture.
So if I remember correctly, and if someone wants to correct me, then okay. I'm pretty sure when Punk first signed, he's like, and Khan asked him about the title. He was just like, no, keep me away from the title. He's like, no, we want, like, it was all a big draw.
That's what he claimed when he just did that interview with Ariel Helwani, and he finally talked about what happened when he got in a fight with, which we don't need. That's a whole other podcast. That's a whole other podcast. The other reason why I liked that this happened is that the storytelling of that Drew was talking about how
Seth is unfocused.
Yes, it's you're going to lose your title to me because you're focused more on helping Cody out, and that like him losing his focus for CM Punk was his downfall.
Yes.
Is I think just way better storytelling than probably what they could have done if Priest cashed in post like a match between CM Punk and Drew, and it honestly it just gives Drew more ammunition to hate CM Punk, or fans like Cynthia that hate CM Punk to hate CM Punk even more.
I just
So-
hate him as a person.
That's fine. Yeah.
But you have
like-
to. But you have to love him because he's a hockey fan.
No, because he likes the black.
I gotta
that's
be honest.
terrible.
I have a as a wrestler, I have a really hard time disliking him, and I honestly think, and I know Tony gets this. Maybe I don't know how Tim feels. If you were watching during the summer of Punk in 2011, I think that's why there's so many older fans that love him. It's impossible. I don't know. I
guess.
I have not liked a lot of the things that he's done, but it's hard for me to dislike him as a out and out wrestler. And he also seems to be being on his best behavior in WWE right now. So
True. I also gave him the benefit of the doubt when he first came to AEW, and like, granted, I don't know exactly what is the truth in that respect, but like,
There's video proof.
Well,
I haven't seen it. I don't need to see it.
In hindsight, that company is so horribly mismanaged that I think there's blame that can go on both sides. But
Anyway,
like, it takes two to friggin' fight. Let's be real here.
So-
but like, it just like going back to the match, that not just going, ew, CM Punk's gross. Cause he, like, you made some valid points, Matt, about like, yeah, like, I'm happy, like, I want Drew to have a great, magnificent, huge title run, and I want it
I think
to be
he
in
will,
the big
though,
show,
again,
and I think
though,
it's
at some point.
awesome. And so, like, I was so upset that Damian Priest cashed in and CM Punk was a dick, which, ugh. But like at the same time,
I think that was the point, though.
I'm aware it's the point. I'm totally
I did
aware.
my best, Vince Russo. You got swerve, bro. You got
But, like-
swerve, bro.
At the same time, like, it makes Judgment Day look so freaking good having both Rhea and Priest with those titles.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
like,
they're
I can't be too mad because like they're creating something fantastic over here, and like Drew is so fantastic that like he can carry on with what he's doing. I just personally want him to have everything.
no. I
Yeah.
love him, and he's on the best, like one of the best runs of his whole career right now, for sure.
And even though his title reign was that short, it was really cool to see him win a title in front of a live WrestleMania
Oh
crowd.
yeah.
Okay, so let's rate this. We're gonna rate it as like a full package deal. The cash in and the match before. For me, total 5. Great way to open the show. It was shocking. It was surprising. The first match was great, and it just builds more stories. So I loved it. You didn't say a number, Tony.
I didn't know it was my turn. 5, because all the same reasons. And
It was your
just,
turn because you said, "Yep."
5 stars. Same reasons you, but like this is my preferred cash in / guy going away to, like, I know Drew's not like a young talent or anything, but like title reign wise, he is. So like Seth putting Drew over, getting very emotional, even though this has been more of a blood feud than fucking the Usos. Seth pointing at him, you fucking deserve it.
While he's crying, yeah.
Yeah. And just like that whole, like, I'm going away for a while, but you're in good, like, company's in good hands, or that title's in good hands. I'm out. And then
both those guys clearly have a lot of respect for each other.
Oh yeah. And then the Punk situation, I'm very happy they did not reveal he's good to go. Like, they didn't announce like he was going to return. Like, he took the brace off. He used it as a
That was
weapon.
awesome.
It's great. And then the cash in, perfect, because that's going to start a story over here with Damian and the world title. You get your Drew and Punk, and then eventually Drew will go back because he's owed a title shot. It sets up so many things for the future. Like, I loved everything about this match.
This guy gets it. Got a rating, Tim or Cynthia?
I'm gonna go 4.75.
Okay.
All right, now I'm mad.
Good.
Cynthia.
Yeah.
We need a +5 buffer for Cynthia's CM Punk hatred. She's gonna rate it. She's gonna rate it -2 just
no.
because.
Hey, if Dave Meltzer can become famous for being biased, so can Cynthia. Go ahead, Cynthia. Say what you want.
4.25.
4.25. All right.
Yeah, because
Let's move
as much as like I liked everything, I'm still butthurt that Drew was cashed in on.
That's okay. That's totally fine.
It has nothing to do with Punk.
You should have seen me when Punk cashed in on Jeff. I was fucking living. Anyway.
In the third match, the Pride defeated the Final Testament in a Philadelphia street fight with Bubba Ray Dudley as a special guest referee. Okay. Thoughts on this? Any thoughts on entrances?
I don't know how I feel about AOP still in their like SWAT gear with the weird like biblical witchy entrance for Cross, if that makes sense.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe they need to decide one way or the other, like what their aesthetic is.
So either, as much as I love Cross's entrance and everything, unless he's going to be that version of him, I would almost change the music and entrance and push him more towards AOP status. If that
I would go the reverse because AOP, I hate to say it, reminds me of the Shield.
Yes.
Yeah, they were like wearing military fatigues.
Maybe
like
meet
SWAT
in the middle.
gear.
But like Kmart Shield.
That's literally the worst thing that you could say about them. That's absolutely savage.
I almost said dollar store. I'm like, no. They're more expensive than the dollar store.
They're not quite the Shield. Okay. They're more like mound of dirt you can hide behind.
Oh my gosh. We have the Shield at home.
Yes.
the Shield if you bought them off of Wish.
That's mean.
No, that is mean because those guys are awesome. But I think actually, I hadn't thought about it, but I think you're totally right, Tony. I think you're absolutely right that there's kind of
like if you're gonna keep the Cross's style, maybe push it more towards not white. I can't think of it like almost biker, like leather vest, flannel, whatever. I can't think of the term, but you need to like get best of both because I like the weird, almost Spartan-esque style that Karrion Kross had when he was in NXT. I don't think that would work with AOP. And then
the weird gladiator thing was when they called him up. That was a Vince creation. He wasn't doing that in NXT. He was. Yeah, no, that was a terrible time. Let's not talk about that. Let's forget all about that.
Bad.
And then I'm really enjoying Street Profits with Bobby. I really like this team.
So the Pride defeated the Final Testament, which
what they changed their name to?
I honestly it's the Pride now. I honestly would have been fine with either team, but I do think that there's been a lot of shine taken off of the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley in the last like year or so. So I think they needed this win, to be perfectly honest. So this match, I guess we also forgot there was a special guest commentator too, because Snoop Dogg was on the mic.
Oh my God.
So
Snoop Dogg as commentator was one of the best fucking things I've ever heard.
It's like he's
legendary.
Never seen wrestling. He's like, oh man, don't hate her with that. That's metal.
You cannot.
That's the family
when he went on that whole like Yogi Bear reference when they're setting up the tables and he's like, y'all have picnic tables? Oh, okay, boo boo, and he's like doing that. I was like, he's high as fuck right now and just talking, and I love it.
It was fantastic.
Michael, little reference. I don't remember what he said, But Snoop said something about being backstage doing things I can't do out here. And then Michael Cole commented on that. And I turned to Logan and was like, Michael Cole has 100% smoked weed with Snoop Dogg.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
I just don't picture Cole. Yeah, it's whatever.
Hey, if Snoop Dogg hands you a blunt, I think most people are taking a puff, even if you're not really into weed. So this match was fun. It was by no means like a work rate match or, it just was a car crash and it was fun. It was 6 super jacked, huge guys beating the shit out of each other. And then you still had like the fun stuff with like the women managers and BFAB and Scarlett. Yeah, it was just fun spots. And when Bubba Ray Dudley came out, I popped for that. And I'm like, okay, cool. You got to have, an ECW original there in Philly.
Oh, yeah.
But I was kind of like, okay, it's a little bit of a, like, just a fan service thing. But then him getting kind of involved in the match and doing the Dudley spots, I loved that. Again, there was no reason that Snoop Dogg needed to be on commentary for it, but it just added to just like, hey, this is going to be...
but to bring us all joy.
It was all just like, hey, we're going to have Bubba Ray Dudley. We're going to have Snoop Dogg out here just for a fun-ass match. And in that regard, I loved it. It was a fun match. It was not technical at all. But
hey, it was a pro wrestling match. It was phenomenal.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I think this is a 4.75 for me. It was because it was just so much fun.
Just solid 4 for me because I want more from.
Yeah, that might be too high. I'm gonna say 4.5 actually, 4.5. But it was a lot of fun.
Way to backtrack. I want everyone involved in this match to be. Sounds weird. To be what I know they can be.
Push further.
Yeah. Like these are, I think Lashley's the only one that I'd kind of be like, okay, he's kind of done everything. Like he can go away from, but like Street Profits.
But then I still feel like he's underrated though, dude, because
he is.
I don't think he's ever been pushed to where he should have been.
He's that cookie cutter WWE guy, like bodybuilder, but he can wrestle. He can professional wrestle and tell stories. And so like, why wasn't he pushed more? But
yeah,
remember that time?
Well, and now he's kind of a rare breed because you made a good point of like, he's kind of the cookie cutter, like, prototypical wrestler, but like McMahon, more like body. 15 years ago. And so now honestly, a guy that big should be considered as like a very special attraction because, like people aren't allowed to juice and it's a much smaller person's game now. So like a guy like him that's just naturally gigantic is such an anomaly. And so
dude, I want to be treated like
again. Oof. Yeah.
Anyway,
we got a rating for this, Cynthia, Tim.
3.75.
3.75. Okay.
I don't really remember the match, but I remember Dudley and Snoop, and that's what brought me joy.
Okay.
I gave it a 4. It would have been a 4.25, but then I remembered the table botch. Oh.
I don't think that was their fault. I don't think that was their fault. The table broke before they like did anything even with it.
That was
it was like the straightest line ever, so you could tell it was completely gigged. Yeah. Again,
I don't know. I gave it a 4. I did pop though when he were putting them on the table, and Snoop is just like, "Oh man, that's the family reunion table right there."
Oh man. Yeah. Snoop.
He needs to commentate more wrestling matches.
Oh, seriously.
He's the man. He's so entertaining. Let's move on to the next match. LA Knight defeated AJ Styles by pinfall. 12 minutes and 25 seconds. Thoughts on this one?
This was such a good match.
It
So
was a great wrestling match.
This was the work rate match, for sure.
there's
No frills, just
Mhm.
great in ring
Just
work.
I could be wrong, but LA Knight's gear I thought of Mick Foley when I saw it. So like I thought maybe it was a little.
I still don't know what you mean by that, but
It's just like
sure.
the cutoff flannel, but it wasn't exactly a flannel. It's whatever. The only thing I would have maybe wanted different is not to rush the start because I was trying to listen to AJ's new song, but that was just me.
Mm. Yeah, there was a lot of buildup that he's like, yeah, new song. And I was like, okay, that's like nothing super special. But
if they would have busted his fucking TNA, that would have got me more than the new song.
Here, well, okay, well, I'm going to give a counter to that. I don't think that fits his current character, though. Not that this new music is anything like, really great, but the Get Ready to Fly, like he's doing more of a traditional sort of heel sort of thing, and then he's not doing as much high flying since he got a little more jacked and he turned heel. So I don't know if that music would fit him in this current iteration. Just my thought. But this match was fantastic. I'm gonna just say it. I think the right guy won. I wouldn't have been mad. I really love both these guys, but they need to. AJ's had some really big moments in WWE, had some title runs. They're run out of time to do the same with LA Knight. And so I think he needed this big kind of launching pad. And I'm hoping that this maybe transitions into some sort of title rivalry. I would love to see that. Like
maybe like him and Priest.
Ooh.
I didn't think of that, but I like that a lot. Yeah, I was thinking. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking Logan Paul, but
okay.
Priest would be really good too. Because obviously, I think there's still some story left to tell with Logan Paul and KO and Randy Orton. We'll get into that in a second.
But maybe he does need a mid card title first to just kind of see how it's like to be a champion in WWE.
He's already a champion.
Yeah.
And beat in my heart.
Yeah.
I love this match. I think it was great top to bottom. I'm going to give it a 4.85.
I'm going to give it a solid 4.5, but I want 2 more matches from them.
I like that. Yeah.
If you're not going to put a title on either of them, just let them cook.
Fight
maybe
forever.
Maybe have a big maybe the rubber match, like AJ wins the next one. Maybe the rubber match is some sort of like big stipulation, like Hell in a Cell,
and then
last man standing or something.
Neither of them gets up, so that you get a 4th match.
A 4th? Oh, okay.
SummerSlam.
Okay. Yeah, because they
happens to be a number one contender.
And I'm guessing with like the fact that like their whole thing that happened at that conference, I think there might be a little bit of shoot heat because that did not look like a work fight. That looked like a sloppy ass like shoot fight that they were actually like kind of scrapping around and not trying to hurt each other too bad, but they weren't pulling punches. It didn't seem like. So I think they might actually kind of have a little bit of real life beef.
Yeah, I went down a fantasy rabbit hole with that LA Knight AJ booking matches thing. SummerSlam number one contender ship match. Cody versus AJ some point down the line. Come on.
Oh.
Yeah, that could be good. That could be real good.
I don't know though. Well, didn't AJ say that he's pretty close to being done?
That's what he claims, yeah.
But I don't know. That would I really like the idea of Cody and AJ having a feud. That would, oh man.
Well, because what's interesting is like that's never really happened. They've always been in different companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're both ex-Bullet Club leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's true.
So if that's not Cody's next feud or the one right after, then they're kind of fucking up.
Yep.
I think it maybe doesn't have to be the next one, but it like a little ways down the road, it should happen for sure. Cynthia, Tim, ratings on this?
I had it at a 4.75, I believe.
4.75. Okay.
Yep.
Come on, Sandbag. Let's go ahead. How low are you going to give it?
I have to give it an NA.
An NA?
A score is not applicable because I kind of fell asleep.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Moving on.
To be fair, I only had like
on.
4 hours of sleep that day.
You should go back and watch this match then. Yeah, I think you'll like it, but.
Yeah, no, I plan to go back. Because I was trying to because it's been like days, and so I was like rewatching some of the matches and stuff, and I didn't. There's 2 days worth. It's a friggin'. If you put 2 days in one card, I never got to refresh myself on that one. So
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next match in a triple threat for the United States Championship. Logan Paul retained with the help of somebody named iShowSpeed. I'm old. I don't know who that
YouTuber.
This
no idea
first time I had seen this person ever, and defeated Kevin Owens and Randy Orton by pinfall. Unpopular opinion incoming. As much as I'd have been happy with KO or Randy Orton winning, I think the right guy won in this instance. Yep. He's doing really good work as one of their top heels, and it's going to mean more if he has this belt longer and then a top babyface beats him.
More importantly, can we talk about how much I fucking love Randy Orton and KO together?
They're fun. They should be a tag team.
Yeah, they're going to be our KO.
No, and then you put that in our wrestling friend chat, and it's like, how has no one thought of this? It's like, it's there for the taking. Such a good name, and they've done every other freaking pun on Randy Orton's RK Bro, all that stuff. Yeah, so it's a slam dunk. That's a slam dunk. I can see them. I can see the merch now. They should. Yeah.
From top to bottom, I truly enjoyed this match. I loved the first 15 minutes or however long it was, of KO and Orton just kind of messing with Paul. And then we were watching it and we were just like, okay, now it's going to kind of get to the point where is it going to be me? And they immediately happened. We're like, oh, okay. And then they still.
I love when they first tried to pin him at the same time and they look at each other like, ah! That was really funny.
Orton's turn of when he goes or wins our game.
Yeah. Sorry, I was being sneaky.
No, I love this.
Can we talk about Kevin Owens' ECW gear real quick? And his whole ECW entrance. Oh, I love it. So sick. I just had to shout that out real quick. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, they did their entrance together. The golf cart. Yes, you're right. And it was a fun contrast to how extravagant Logan Paul's entrance was with the Prime truck, and he's got a giant Prime bottle shooting fireworks, and then Kevin Owens let me get my golf cart from the back.
I popped for the golf cart harder than I did for the.
Oh, for sure. This match was fun also in there was a lot of really good hard-hitting moments. The announce table spots that they did were awesome. Randy Orton doing a Sparta kick to iShowSpeed and just
Dude, that stiff as fuck
killing him. Oh my
table. That was a stiff RKO. I think he legitimately busted bruised his cheek.
He fucked brother up for sure.
Murder's my favorite.
Yeah, I loved this match. It was a little like the Philadelphia street fight in the sense that it was just a lot of fun. But this was obviously a little more well crafted in terms of technique and technical stuff. But It was a good pairing. He had two veterans with like maybe the most athletic young guy on the roster.
I would.
Which I hate to say that, but it's
I
true.
hate him as a person.
But do you think he's a really good wrestler, though? Right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
For how short little time he's been doing it, he's so good, and you can hate him as a person, but he has so much respect for the business. It's crazy.
Know. Oh.
Which I am appreciating that about him, because the one thing, and you can always tell when somebody's coming in just for checks, and like obviously he's there coming in for checks, but I agree with you, Tim. He seems like he actually is enjoying the craft and has respect for, like you said, the business. It makes me slightly dislike him a little less.
Yeah, same. Like
he's still a piece of shit, but
oh yeah. But the fact that he respects the business and like what the wrestlers are doing is trying his best and not just phoning it in. Like I can respect that.
Well, and he's clearly. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and he said it a million times that wrestling is the hardest thing that he's ever done. And
yep,
I forget who he said. He said like going against KO was harder than going against Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing with him though too is like he's so young. Like the ceiling for him is like the sky's the limit. I can only imagine if he sticks with wrestling. Like imagine him in 10 years. He's gonna be, because he's so athletically gifted now, and he does seem to have a good mind for being a heel. But if he gets like more of those storytelling reps in as well, oh, dude, I think he's gonna be a big star for them moving forward if he sticks with it. It's hard to say if he will, but he seems pretty committed at this point. So, question. Do you want to see him continue a rivalry with one or both of these guys, or do we like Tony's idea of like, let's just spin Kevin Owens and Randy Orton off as a tag team, maybe have them feud with Waller and Theory, and then
oh my God, that'd be so fun.
Paul feuds with somebody else, and if the latter is your preference, who would you have him feud with? I'm going to say LA Knight.
Who he feud with right out the gate? Probably LA, because that's kind of anytime someone just like wins a singles match for nothing at Mania, it usually leads them into a title match.
I feel like LA Knight could really, like, they've already kind of had some interactions. I think he could really cook, as the kids say, with promos against Logan Paul. Like I can just picture that of like those guys, because Logan Paul's a douchebag. LA Knight would absolutely call that out. I think it could be good.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's rate this sucker. This is another 4.85 for me.
4.5.
4.5.
Tickled my funny bone though.
4.25.
4.25.
I hate who won.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I enjoyed the match.
In the co-main event, Bayley defeated Io Sky by pinfall to win the women's championship.
Bayley's entrance gear and stuff was fucking cool.
The only thing I'm bummed about with her entrance, you know what her proposed entrance was, and it didn't happen. Do you know what about this? She wanted, and I guess like she tried really hard for it, and the scheduling didn't work out. She wanted to change her music to a Paramore song and have Paramore play her out to the ring, and it didn't come together. And when I heard about that, I was like, no, because so I can't remember the name of the song, but it's their song about how they almost broke up. And then they kept going. And I guess when she blew out her knee this last time, that was her song to like motivate herself to like, hey, I guess she questioned like giving up and then pushed through the rehab. And so I'm like, that'd have been so epic. And I guess she has like a kind of a friendship with them, but the Egyptian aesthetic was cool though.
Yeah.
So as soon as I saw Bailey was in Egyptian things, I turned to Logan and went, Matt is going to use the phrase, my Egyptian goddess, within, I don't know, a minute or two.
Excuse me, hold on. My Egyptian queen, get it right. Right.
Yes, I did get it right. My Egyptian queen, within 2 minutes, had it in the group chat.
Okay, so for the listener, yeah, I am a huge Bailey fan, but I've got a little bit of a crush on her. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
That's super weird, bro.
Yeah. What can I say? I love Bailey. Yeah. So clearly, I was very happy with the outcome of this match. Thoughts? What did everybody else think?
I just weirdly, for the story being there, like the build being there. Maybe it's, again, as someone who doesn't watch weeklies, like, I don't know, it seemed to kind of fizzle out right at the end, kind of like what Punk was saying, like, why is no one paying attention to this as well? Like,
I don't think it was, I totally agree with you, because being as invested as I was in this, because when she won the Royal Rumble, I was so stoked. I think this was the dark horse the entire weekend, because they did not get enough attention as they should have. In terms of the women's matches, I think Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch kind of it overshadowed this one, which I think was a bummer. Totally. But I think they delivered even without having as good of a build, especially with like a revenge story. It should have had a way better build, but
yeah.
I thought it was funny too how Bailey had her epic Mania entrance, and then Io Sky's was just like a basic entrance.
Yeah, that was interesting. I don't know. To be fair, I don't think, I love Rhea Ripley, but they've pushed her to the moon. And then this whole time, while Io's been champion as well, she's kind of been the secondary champion. And I don't think that's necessarily her fault, because frankly, they've been building this damage control, like breaking up thing for so long. But then once they like pulled the trigger on it and Bailey won the Rumble, it was kind of like, this is a little back burner compared to some of the other stuff we're doing. Which
that's weird to me, because I felt like the damage control story with Bailey and everything like had I don't know, for me personally, it was a better story.
It's 100%.
I think in a lot of ways
it had the almost evolution esque, where Becky and Rhea, as much as I love both of them, it was just kind of a, hey, I think who's better than you. Yeah. Which you don't need a title for that. But like, I know did Raquel get hurt again? She's who I would have put.
She's had that autoimmune issues.
Okay. Yeah.
So she came back and then she had to disappear again.
I hope that it's gonna be fine. Everything's fine. But yeah, like Becky, if there was more build, I guess, instead, or like a story besides I think I'm better than you.
So I think that was just a big money match.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't really, especially with the fact that they're like on separate shows, I don't really know why, in terms of like these women's titles, that that this match was so secondary, it seemed like. And the fact that, like Tony, you mentioned it, CM Punk called it out and kind of said, hey, I don't feel like anybody, Bailey's accomplishment of winning the Rumble is getting overshadowed and stuff. But I do think that this placement on this card was really good. And so they gave him a decent amount of time, 14 minutes and 20 seconds. and it absolutely delivered. I do think that clearly them being in a group led to really good in-ring chemistry. But
yeah.
I'm gonna take something Tony said earlier with LA Knight and AJ Styles. I want to apply it here. I think there needs to be a rematch.
I think a lot of the matches that happened on this Mania should have rematches.
It's almost like there should be a pay-per-view after this called Backlash.
That's
That
not
would be so cool.
But
Did you
where's
just
the
come up with that
backlash
name?
from? It's a
Yeah, I'll tweet Triple H. I'll be like, hey bud, I got an idea for you. You know, it seems like you're having a hard time booking stuff. So
You should do a 2-night Backlash with every single match as a rematch.
remember, there was a time where the Backlash cards were almost all rematches. Do you remember that?
Well, yeah, because that was back when a person could lose their title and they have their automatic rematch clause. And
That's right. Yes. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of got out of hand, but then that was a fun stipulation that kind of could be used as a good storytelling tactic that I sort of miss. I understand why they got rid of it, because as much as I love my man Cena, that rematch clause was like they
09,
utilized
man.
to death with him and Randy Orton. Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it, but like one and done. Like if
one
you-
rematch clause per pairing, like maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Like if I fought Matt for a title and took the title from Matt, he gets one rematch against me to get it. And if he wins it back, then okay, we're done. Because
that would work.
But then the problem is then that takes away the thing that we all love as wrestling fans, or just like
the rubber,
combat sports fans, is the rubber match. And so
Yeah.
I can see both. I can see both sides of it, but I would really love a rematch for this, because I do think that maybe they dropped the ball a little bit on the lead up with storytelling, but maybe they can take this further by continuing a rivalry. Because I don't see Damage Control not being like ultra bad girls still. Like, they're doing a great job as just mean heels.
Yeah.
So they'll probably still.
Besides like the addition of like Dakota Kai, I think it's pretty dope that there's like an evil Japanese female faction. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, they're doing a great job for sure.
I want Bayley to change her finisher again. Either go back to the Bayley to Belly, which James forgot it was called that, and then he got really upset because he's always hated that name, but he hasn't watched in 10 years. So they said he's like, I forgot that was the fucking name. But I think she needs a different finish, because the rose plant or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. It's like it's unique and everything.
That's why I like it.
Yeah. I would put her on something else.
That's fair. All right, let's rate this thing, because I'm sure we're going to have a lot to say about the main event.
I loved it. Sorry, I got excited.
I'm going to say... fucking shit. I'm going to say 4.95.
Ooh.
Just about perfect, but I do think I'm going to pull the card that all of us have done at least one time tonight. And I don't think this was their fault, but I think a little bit of the emotional storytelling was robbed because of not having the buildup they should have had.
That.
Okay.
I want to change mine to 4.65.
Okay, 4.65 it is. Is that your highest rating of the whole night?
Oh, wait, wait. 4.69.
Oh, wait, no, you gave a higher score to the main event for night one, right?
4.75.
Have you given a 5 to anything?
No, but I will.
Okay. Spoiler alert. Tony, Tim?
4.2. 5.
And I had 4.5.
Okay.
Like at least one more match, depending on how it goes, and then go from there.
Okay, I like that. All right, let's talk about this main event. Cody Rhodes finished the story and defeated Roman Reigns by pinfall in a Bloodline Rules match to end Roman Reigns' 1,300 day plus title reign. You know, as much as it was easy enough to like be like, well, I mean, he's got to win at this point. How much they put into it? Why these matches with these guys have been so good, and almost every Roman Reigns match, is my disbelief gets suspended so quickly, and I have maybe, like 10 minutes into the match, I'm like, I don't know who's gonna win. I don't know. Every finish, I'm like,
it's because the
it's over, right?
Is so amazing. Like
Yes.
they do such a good job. Like
yes.
Oh,
I just love the
Beautiful.
first time I sent the meme of Cody sitting at Mania 39 after he just lost. This is the look on Cody's face when Seth turns on him and helps Roman retain. Matt was so upset.
I was
like,
pissed.
don't you dare
Yes.
put this fucking evil out there.
I was pissed. Let's talk about the entrances first. So
Dude,
Roman
Cody.
came out to the whole orchestra. That was epic. Cody's mask and
That
coming
mask
out with
was
Brandy.
so fucking cool.
Apparently it was made by
Badass.
the same guy who made the Fiend mask.
Yeah, I saw that.
Nice.
Funko, if you're listening, please make that a Funko Pop. Also make a second one with him having the title, please. Thank you. All right, great. Moving on. Yeah, great entrances. This had the vibe and the feel of, the stakes that it had. It was epic. I really liked that Roman did not come out with the bloodline. I think that was a smart move, and that he started the match by himself and didn't rely on the bloodline rules until he, needed an advantage. Yes.
We were going back and forth. We're like, obviously the fucking bloodline's gonna run in. It's bloodline rules, whatever. And then I was like, this is what I think is gonna happen. I think Jimmy and Solo will come out and Cena will chase them off, and then The Rock will come out, and then Stone Cold will come out. Those are my projections. And then Jay came out. I was like, that way makes so much more sense to have Jay run off Jimmy. Jesus Christ, what is wrong with me? But the Taker surprise got me because last person I thought was going to be there. I did not think Undertaker was going to be in this match in the middle of everything. But I do think I did appreciate we got a good. How long was this match?
It was 33 minutes and 25 seconds.
Was it?
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Well, keep in mind there was like a 15 to 20 minute celebration afterwards. So
It just didn't.
if that sounds short, I think it's because of also the entrances are probably 10 minutes themselves.
So we'll call this 10 minutes of Cody versus Roman, no tomfuckery, no bloodline. And then
I think it was more than that.
Well, at least that's what I'm meaning. At least 10 minutes of these two one-on-one. We got
Straight
that
up
match. And then, all right, let's introduce the soap opera drama that is fucking professional wrestling and The Rock being sent to the Shadow Realm, and just Jesus Christ. I loved this match.
Yeah. The Rock came out wearing that John Travolta pants again.
Oh, so good.
Hey, these ones were
so good.
God.
Those are pants you just can't wear once.
Okay. Was I the only one for a split second that thought, oh my God, please fucking be Seth and Dean Ambrose?
Dude,
So when they hit the Shield music, because you didn't see anybody for a bit, and I will say that again, having my disbelief suspended, I was like, that's not what I was expecting, even for Seth to come out as.
Right.
And as I was watching it, I was like saying to my wife, I said, I really don't think that AEW would allow him to do this, but you never know. Like, what, it's weird that they're playing Shield music. Now, I think hindsight, it makes perfect sense that they did that, and it was just Seth.
Yeah.
But for a quick second, I thought, is this like the biggest, Forbidden Door opening ever? But I mean, especially
made
after Tony
sense
Khan
that-
just did the stuff he did.
Yeah.
Like,
And
there's
it-
no fucking way he would never lend a talent to WWE.
I think
Yeah,
it's
and the shield stuff made more sense because, like I said, I don't watch the weeklies like some of you guys, and I missed the part completely when Seth told Cody that he would be his Shield.
Oh yeah.
So I have a lot to say about this match, and before we get into like the run-ins, which like made this match just amazing, just the back and forth storytelling, just purely between Cody and Roman, was, I didn't think that they could top last year's main event.
Mhm.
I think they surpassed it
Oh,
by a
Oh,
wide
yeah.
margin. And I think they would have, even if they didn't have all these extra things, but the extra things just made it that much more special. And I feel like the reason is because it wasn't just random nonsense run-ins. Every single bit had a storytelling quality to it. Obviously, the Jay and Jimmy thing, that makes perfect sense. But then even Solo coming in, and then Cena shows up. So Cena just put Solo over, and so they have history. Obviously, Roman and Cena have history, and then The Rock coming out. There's a great history, obviously, with Cena and Rock. And then The Undertaker. I saw some people complaining about that. I'm like, man, I really wish it could have been Stone Cold. I'm gonna make the argument. I think that was a better move, because since they committed so much to the storytelling thing, think about it. The Rock and Undertaker have Attitude Era history, but think about who was the person that gave Undertaker his second loss at WrestleMania, Roman Reigns. And his first kind of quasi-retirement, remember he left the gloves and the hat and the jacket and the ring, Roman Reigns beat him. And so, and Roman and Stone Cold have had zero interactions, so that wouldn't make as much sense. And then obviously the Seth of it all was the piece de resistance, as they say, like and it was such good foresight to have him say that just little seemingly throwaway line of "I'll be your shield," and it's kind of like, oh cool, you said the thing, but then they literally do the callback to the turn, and Roman's undoing is,
getting his
him and Seth's history. Fucking
dude,
it's next level.
The storytelling is amazing. I had goosebumps.
5 stars.
Yeah.
First of all, and the real
I gave it 10.
Shut the fuck up, Tim. And
I'm going full Meltzer. I'm breaking my rating.
You're almost correct on why Undertaker chokeslammed Rock. It's actually because he finally got the revenge for Rock trying to get him to do a spinneroonie.
I saw people saying that. That's funny. Yeah, all the run-ins really enhanced the match, and
they all had a reason.
They all had a reason. It made sense, and man, oh man. And then when they actually counted the 1, 2, 3, at that point, I thought it was over like 5, 6 finishes ago. And man, just that wave of emotion. And then when the guys came out, put him on the shoulders, and then like the thing that just leveled me, I was bawling like a fucking baby, is when he gave the belt to his mom. God damn it, dude. That just wrecked me. But what'd y'all think about the post-match celebration? We've never really seen something to that extent, where they had like all those people get in the ring, promos, fireworks on the shoulders.
I feel like, at least in this case, with how big this story had become, like, it felt natural for it to have like a big like party, like a big celebration, because he just it's been at least 2 years
since Cody came back,
since the story started.
Well, it's more like 3 years now because he came back about 3 years ago, and he made that his clear intention.
Oh yeah. And so
from
like
then.
the fact that you've got this magnificent build up and him like failing and coming back from it, like I think the celebration fully fits because like you have all these people that were pulling from that were like wanted to see this happen and are so happy for him and like just what him winning means. Like he stated what it meant for him and just how like and like it's Dusty Rhodes like touched so many lives in wrestling that like it feels totally justified, like perfect.
Well, and
like,
that's why it was also important to have a lot of those guys that either helped him out or were in the ring, like lifting up on their shoulders at the end. You had Kevin Owens, you had Sami Zayn, like they were Dusty's kids. Roman Reigns was a Dusty kid. Seth was a Dusty kid. And so, I saw the post-match like press conference, and then it was either Cody or Triple H. They were saying that same thing. Like, if you look at who was on this card and the stories that were kind of surrounding, like Dusty's fingerprints were all over it, and he's been gone for years now. I love the celebration. It felt very different than anything they've ever done, and I saw some people online like saying it was a little indulgent. For me, it made sense because of everything that Cynthia said, and it had like a very much of a, it's Philly. Like there's got to be Rocky comparisons. Like Cody's absolutely the underdog in comparison to Roman. So it felt right with that, but it also felt like, they made a big point of like, okay, this is now I've heard the Renaissance era, I've heard the Triple H era, those titles going around, but it's a new era. Vince is gone. Triple H is firmly in control. And like, you've got this new guy at the top. And so it seemed like appropriate to celebrate that and celebrate this huge moment for the company. And I'm a Cody crybaby, so I was like, yes, more. Like, I loved it.
Yeah, my mom hated it. She hated that Cody won.
Hey, and I gotta say, let's acknowledge our tribal chief one more time. Throw up the ones. What a freaking run, dude! Like,
Dude, it was fantastic.
Can you?
That guy is about to have like the most long deserved vacation ever.
Yes,
he carried the company on his back for. What was it, 4 years?
Ish.
I mean, arguably he was carrying it before then, but I mean, in terms of like being the top guy.
So
basically, his heel run, he skyrocketed once his heel run started, and
yeah,
I'll never forget the first time I saw him talking, and then they just pan over to Paul Heyman, and I'm like, oh my god, it's happening.
So I remember. Was it SummerSlam? The tagline for SummerSlam is "You won't see it coming," or "You won't see this coming."
Right.
And I remember the entire fucking show. I was like, "Well, I predicted that match." So, and then you get all the way down to Bray and Braun, and Roman come out and everything. And I turned to it was either Joe or Jordan or Molly or something. I was like, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, he said the thing.
That's
like
where it all started.
Legendary run. I think we're like in 10 years we're going to be looking back on this and being like, that's one of the greatest runs, maybe the greatest run in all of professional wrestling. Yeah. It'll never be touched. I know that he didn't get the all-time record for a title reign length, but nobody's ever going that long again. I highly doubt it.
No, yeah, I agree. What a run, dude!
Go that long with having that many good matches, and then even whenever people be like, oh, I'm kind of getting tired of it. I feel like he needs to drop the title. He puts on a good match. He retains. He goes to the next thing, and we're still invested. That just goes to show like how That run was next level.
Yeah,
it's
like
great. Then it's great too. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
no, you're fine. Like
Go ahead. I'm done.
like he was a good babyface, but he made a better heel. Like and usually
1000%.
like it's usually the ones who are just like, oh, they're doing pretty good. Like they're actually a nice person, and you let them be like a heel, and they just hit it out of the park. Like Kevin Owens is a nice dude. Look how amazing he is as a heel. Of course, he can do babyface just as good, but like
He can do both.
he can do
But
both. But like
you're right. He Roman blossomed into like one of the greatest of all time just by them finally allowing him to be a heel.
yeah.
Because I think there always would have been that asterisk of like, yeah, he's great, but man, like, I wish he would have been a heel at one point if they would have never pulled the trigger on it.
Motherfucker, you did.
What were you gonna say, Tim?
Oh, so I was just gonna go into. I remember how shocked we were last year when Roman came out the winner.
Stunned.
And for the few days at least, I was total shocker. And for a couple days, I was just like, was that the right move? I think that it was the right move to have Roman win last year because his title run and his like legacy wouldn't have been the same if he would have lost last year.
I agree, and we wouldn't have got the final boss era of The Rock, which that was so close to not happening. And they've basically now they've admitted like their full intentions were he was going to take Cody's spot as a babyface, which is insane that they thought that was actually going to work. But all that to say, at least they had the good sense to switch it immediately and best heel run of his entire career. So yeah, I agree with you that all the right decisions were made.
Even if it made us sad last year.
Yeah, and
because I think that's why it made this win even bigger.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%.
And another thing I'll say is I am very happy that we did not get a Stone Cold entrance because I would have been very pissed off because the WrestleMania we went to was already awesome, but we didn't get to see The Rock or The Undertaker. But if Stone Cold would have been there, I would have been very pissed off.
Understandable. Any final thoughts about the match itself before we rank it and then rank the whole show? No,
run it back.
Yeah, I mean this is a 5-star for me, but I'm gonna go full Meltzer and give it 6.
Yeah,
just because it was perfect, but it was on a level that even the best, the other best matches on this card, even the main event from night one, like it was just. I think it's going to go down as one of the greatest matches of all time.
Oh yeah.
Just the fact that he had the title for what was it, a little over 4 years or something like that, or 3 years, a little over 3 years, something, whatever. But
oh no, it was over 4.
Just the fact that this match, the storytelling in this match accumulated, like it had a different story from like each like year of his title run, just like into one match, and just like. I cannot remember the last match I watched that had such good storytelling. Like, oh my God, dude. It was just, I was like glued to my TV like this the entire match. And like you said earlier, I just don't think we're ever going to get something like this again. It's just a 4-year investment, and
it paid off.
It was so amazing. And I'm really excited to see what Cody's going to do with the title.
Me too.
They better make it worth it too, because it's Cody Rhodes, so I know it's going to be fire whatever he gets into, but just how big this story is, you cannot let it go stale. Him as champion.
Oh yeah, and I think that's kind of why they had that celebration at the end. I think that he's already one of the top guys, but I think they're gonna push him into the stratosphere because. Him beating Roman Reigns and finally toppling the greatest champion, of nearly all time. When somebody finally beats him, if they push him correctly, it should then elevate the next person. And that's really how storytelling and championships should work. And it shouldn't just be like, oh, well, I hate the whole transitional champion thing. That sucks for whoever is the poor person that is the transitional champion. And it's not putting over the person they beat, and it's not putting over the next person because like, oh, well, yeah, you just beat the transitional champion. So it means more if there's just great, title match and story into great title match and story and so on and so forth. So, and I think Triple H gets that.
Yeah.
Papa H.
You got a rating, Tim?
I'm gonna go Meltzer just like you and give it a 6. I can't go full blown and give it a 10 like I wanted to, so I'll give it a 6. And everything about it was just perfect. I don't think it could have been more perfect.
No, what the fuck's wrong with you guys? It's a 5.
And another thing that I really liked too was right after he hit Seth with the chair, tried to go for the spear, got the little kick. I loved that he finished with 3 crossroads, but the third crossroads, you can hear Paul Heyman screaming, "No, no!"
Dude,
and then
Paul Heyman, the goat,
lifting Roman up for the third crossroads. He's like giving everything he fucking can. It was just, oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
it was so good.
Cynthia, Tony.
I gave it 5 stars. What do you mean? What do you want?
Oh, okay. 5 stars. Okay. Cynthia?
I didn't know we could go above 5 stars.
Well, Tim and I are going full Meltzer. We're breaking rules.
Well, bitches, I'm giving it a 7.
7. Ooh. All right.
It had me, and it's still just. When we were talking about it, I got a little bit of goosebumps and shit just talking about it. It was absolutely fantastic. And the celebration afterwards, and you can see unfortunately Seth beat to shit and trying to get in them helping him into the ring and stuff, and the respect between him and Cody, and then everyone just the pure joy and happiness that everyone has for Cody finishing the story, and all the little bits of the different stories. God, it was masterful.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just shut up. It was fantastic.
I really wish that Dustin Rhodes worked for TNA, because then I would have believed that we would have seen an appearance.
I think they would have made it happen for sure. Because I think that the TNA folks wouldn't be so petty as to not allow it to happen.
Dude, if Tony Khan wasn't such a little bitch, he would see the opportunities of and the greatness you can have working with WWE instead of just shooting off little shots.
Especially with Triple H in charge now. Especially with Triple H in charge now, that could be a working relationship that you would want. But Tony Khan is such a little dickhead. I don't think he's. I don't hate people, but I hate that guy so much.
He hasn't really,
but I sure as hell don't respect him.
He hasn't really endeared himself over the years, for sure. Okay, so let's give the whole event a rating out of 5 stars, or if you want to Meltzer it and go more. I'm gonna give it a full 5 stars. I think it was even I did say my least favorite match, and even that was not bad. And so it was very, very, very consistent, super entertaining, tons of feel-good moments, a lot of storytelling advancing and being wrapped up properly. I cannot complain about it. 5 stars.
I agree.
5 stars. It's easily in the conversation as well for probably one of the greatest Manias ever.
Well, okay. Well, I want to see what Tony says, but I have a question about that, and then we'll close it up. What are you giving it, Tony?
I'm 4.75.
Wow.
What?
Wow. Okay. Well then, all right. That's
wasn't a perfect Mania. I don't think there ever will be a perfect Mania. Like I don't think there will ever be.
well. Okay. Let's quickly end this with a little debate because a lot of fan consensus is this was the greatest WrestleMania of all time, or people have been arguing it's this or WrestleMania 17. So I ask you this. Do you think this is the greatest WrestleMania of all time? I think Tony has already given his answer. And do you think it's surpassed WrestleMania 17, which is widely considered the best Mania prior to this one?
What happened at 17?
That was so I don't think you're going to say it was the best if you don't even know. But the main event was Stone Cold and The Rock 2, and Stone Cold turned heel and aligned himself with Vince McMahon. That was also TLC 2, and they had the very famous Edge spearing Jeff Hardy off the ladder.
Okay, yeah,
spot.
I didn't see pay-per-views back in the day because I didn't have them, so
I would strongly recommend watching that from front to back because it is epic.
okay.
And that Kurt Angle Chris Benoit match.
Oh, yep, that's on there too. I'm gonna make a bold statement. I think that that was my favorite Mania up until this point, and I also really loved the one that we were at. I think 17 was a little better, but I think that for the feel-good moment, because I think we can all agree that Austin turning heel and aligning himself with McMahon it kind of took away from that match, and obviously his heel run with McMahon, even he says he wishes he didn't do it. So I think that the feel-good ending of this event was better than that. So I'm gonna say best Mania of all time.
That's why I said it's a tie for me. It's hard to pick. If I had to pick 40 as the best Mania of all time, it's just because of the story, like alone, just that 4-year investment for Roman Reigns and for it to end the way it did. It was just, that's why it's in the conversation for me, but
okay.
It's a close one.
I don't know if there, in my opinion, in my perspective, I don't know if there ever will be a perfect Mania, because unless like literally everything that I want to happen happens in a fantastic way, I don't think it ever will. I will have my favorite Manias because of XYZ reasons, but 40 is definitely in my top 5 Manias. Like if you had to have me sit down and rewatch them and then give you a top 5, it would be top 5, if not top 3 for sure.
Cynthia, you got a thought on this?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of Manias in my life, but
what are the ones you have seen?
Yeah, it's totally tops.
So when you get off of this Zoom with us, go watch WrestleMania 17 right now.
Oh, I cannot. It's already 2 hours past my bedtime.
Okay, well then tomorrow then.
Tomorrow, yes.
I can do tomorrow.
Because it's probably only like a 3-hour pay-per-view, since pay-per-views were pretty short back then.
Yeah.
I think this one's the best, but I feel like they've been doing, even, at the tail end of the Vince era, I think the WrestleMania run, the WrestleMania shows, have been really consistent the last several years.
I think it also helps that they split it between 2 days instead of having like so many matches on one.
100%. You're so right. Because I think at the tail end of when they were doing it all at one and it was like 8 hours long, that was egregious. And it would also be a bummer because there would be good matches, but then it would just get overshadowed because you're so tired you don't even remember it. And you're like, yeah, well, I remember the main event. But because I can think of like WrestleMania 35 was great, but then there's so many good matches that were overshadowed because it was so long. And so all I really remember from that is Kofi Mania. But Kofi Mania kind of reminded me a lot of how I felt with Cody winning this match. It was such a feel good moment.
Yeah. Orton and AJ were on 35 and it was fucking great.
See, I don't remember that because it was 8 hours.
I think we
WrestleMania
were the
30, that
opening
was
match.
another one that was fantastic. WrestleMania 30 is just about perfect.
End of the
Also,
streak.
great feel. So, no, that honestly, that reason, that would be a perfect card to me. And that would probably be my number one. But that knocks that down so much, that single match. Because think about it, main event
didn't need to happen.
is, yeah. Don't even get me started on that. 10 years later, I'm still mad.
Yeah, but then what you're getting into Wrestlemania.
Oh yeah, the main event was perfect, and the fact that he wrestled 2 matches, it kind of reminds me a lot of the Cody thing of like, obviously that was gnarlier in the sense that it was 2 in one night, but 2 matches over the course of an event to try to get like what you're wanting out of the main event. That's pretty. There was some callbacks to that for sure. Well, I think that is all. We're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me. It was so much fun to do one of these again. We're gonna have to try to get back on the horse and do these a little more consistently because they're such a blast. But
Yeah, we got backlash.
yeah, that's and I'm sure we're gonna have more good events because Triple H we trust. You're gonna say something, Tony?
Yeah.
I don't.
Tony's gone.
All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up, and we'll hopefully see you guys for the next event.
Toodles.
Later. All right, that is the episode, nerds. Thanks so much for checking it out. And thanks to my guests, Tony Williams, Cynthia Borges, and Tim Harper, the Mark Out Club, for joining me and talking about WrestleMania. It was such a fun conversation. If you're digging what I'm doing here on Nerds with Opinions, make sure you're following me on social media at nerds_opinions on both X and Instagram. And you can just find me at Nerds with Opinions on Facebook. I'm most active on Instagram, though. And if you are listening to this on Spotify, if you can follow Nerds with Opinions and then give it a rating out of 5 stars, 5 stars would be preferable. You can do the same thing on Apple Podcasts. So follow, rate, review, all that stuff. I think the only difference is you can review on Apple Podcasts. But positive stuff really helps me out and helps grow the audience base to this podcast. So it's greatly, greatly appreciated. That is all I've got for you today. As always, I'm your host, Matt Holben, and you have been listening to Nerds with Opinions.